Welcome back, everybody, to Just Keep Parenting. It's a new day, it's a new week, and I'm glad you could join us here. A couple weeks ago, we talked about appreciating misbehavior and recognizing that there are certain functions that misbehavior brings to a child's life in order to learn, right? And then after that, we talked about the 7 powers of self control from Dr. Bailey's book, Easy to Love, Difficult to Discipline. And from here on out, we're going to break down the seven powers of self-control. So today, we're going to focus on the power of attention. And truly, this is one that we have worked on in the lab school for lots of years. In all of my daily schedules, in all my lesson plans, with all the teacher training, over and over again, it's written. Focus on what the children can do rather than what they can't do, right? And that's where this comes from, is that power of attention. As a society, we really are fairly negative in our approach to things. Don't do this, don't do that, don't forget, right? We always say, don't forget to, come to your meeting, or don't forget to come to practice, or don't forget to take out the garbage. I try to focus on remember, right? Every time I send a parent note home, every time I talk to the child, I'm trying to say, remember, you said you were going to do this, so I'll see you at noon. Or you said, remember, rather than don't forget, right? Because there again, we're focusing on what we want, and that is for them to forget, which is not really true. And so focus on what we focus on, we get more of, right? And so let me just read this scenario from the book because I think it provides a good example. We all have examples in our life, but I want you to listen to this one, and then we can talk about the examples that you have in your life. So parent B enters the house, sees the children playing, and greets them with hugs. When she notices the dirty dishes, she says, Jessica, it is your week for dishes. Please rinse them and put them in the dishwasher. Right? Compare this to parent A, who enters the house, sees the messy kitchen, and launches into a diatribe. Who left these dishes here? It's not such a big deal to put them into the dishwasher. Why do I have to do everything around here? I hate coming home to a mess. Am I the maid? Right? We've all felt that. We've probably all said those things, right? But comparing it to parent B, who greets them with hugs and then is very assertive and specific in saying, Jessica, it was your job to do the dishes, so make sure that, get those done, right? It's not a question, it's not a rah, rah, rah. It really is focusing on what you want to get more of, right? Now, this doesn't come easy to most of us, right? It is something that we have to practice. We have to exercise that brain to be able to start thinking that way and start saying things that way. But after 30 years of working on this, it really has become part of who I am now, right? To remember instead of don't forget, to you need to put your shoes on instead of why are your shoes off? We're at school, right? This is why your shoes need to be on, because there's tacks and there's things around, and my job, remember, all I know is to keep me safe, right? And so having these conversations with kids, and I recognize that doing this in a classroom is different than doing it at home, right? Because at home you're 24/7 with kids, at least right now during COVID. But as we work ourselves into those, even the rewind, right? As we work ourselves and say, oh, don't forget. And then we're like, wait a minute, I meant to say, I'm going to rewind. What I meant to say was, remember to take the garbage out, right? And sometimes that choice, depending on the age of the child, is really helpful. You can do it before you go to school, or you can do it as soon as you come home from school. So you get to choose, but your job is to remember to take the garbage out today, right? So there again, we're focusing on what we want, that power of attention. The other thing that I thought was important as I read through this chapter again was obviously we can't change anybody else's behavior, right? We can only change our behavior. I mean, we'd like to change other people's behavior, but it doesn't work like that, right? Let me just read this. It's probably the most important technique you can learn for living peacefully with children and with other adults and for finding joy in life, right? Is to focus on what we want more of. Um, I think toddlers are a really great example of this because quite often they notice new things, right? They want to touch new things. They want to go figure things out. And in the book, she talks about a lamp. And she talks about, the toddler looking at the lamp, and, our first reaction is, don't touch the lamp, right? Rather than, we have a couple of approaches. We can go over and say, yeah, this is a lamp. See how it works? You turn the light on, you turn the switch on, and the light comes on, and it helps us to see. It's really pretty, right? It's also very expensive. And so you are welcome to look at the light, but come on over here, right? Come on over here and we're going to look at something else. So we're redirecting them. We've explained what the light does, right? Rather than just, don't touch the lamp, right? So, and sometimes we get tired as adults of talking so much, of explaining so much, right? But one thing I have noticed that if I do that up front, my life is just easier, right? My life is easier with children. My life is easier with most people, right, as I explain things up front, then it doesn't take so much time over and over and over again. Now, that's not to say that the toddler's not going to go up and touch the lamp again, but we can have that conversation and say, wait, do you want me to help you turn on the light so you can see the light, right? So that we're helping reinforce the fact that a lamp is not necessarily to touch. A lamp is to help us see. Let's go see if we can find a toy, right, that we can play with. The other thing is, so many times we expect children, we kind of all do this, but when we try to change a positive, we try to change the negative to a positive, right? So, for example, one that I hear my teachers use quite often is when they'll say, don't run. And I'm like, remember, tell them what to focus on. They're like, oh, yeah. Use your walking feet. Right? And so use your walking feet, and sometimes we make fun of that phrase, use your walking feet. But in reality, we make that change pretty quickly in our brain. Oh yeah, use my walking feet, right? But children can't make that jump very quickly, right? And so as we say to them, you need to walk today because there's a classroom down here, there's people studying over here. And so in order for us to be kind to them, we need to be walking instead of running. Plus, if you guys run and you trip and fall, and I can't run that fast, right? Give them the explanation so that they have all the information rather than just don't run, right? So we're teaching that concept, right? We're helping shape that misbehavior. If you look at it as a misbehavior, you're helping to reshape that by focusing on what we want more of. The last thing that I kind of want to focus on is just giving us something to work on this week, right? As we focus more on what we want more of. Just to be able to, I'm thinking of a couple of scenarios that were in the book, and maybe you can think of scenarios that you have in your life. But a big one that comes up quite often, she mentions in the book, is that, Crystal, you can't sleep with mommy and daddy, right? You're focusing on you can't sleep with mommy and daddy. But if you focus on, Crystal, you need to go sleep in your bed. If you need some help, I can come help you. But your job is to sleep in your bed, right? So you're focusing on what you want more of, not what you don't want to happen. And that is for her to sleep with you. Focus on the positive, right? What's the outcome that we want to have happen? So think of something that's in your life that you want to a discipline encounter that you want to change, right? You want to focus on the positive. And then always remember that when we're upset, we always focus on what we don't want, right? Because we're usually in our brainstem, so we're usually focusing on the negative, what we don't want. And so this is a great chapter to read, but as we leave, one of the things that I think we could focus on is just constantly pay attention to what our focus is on, right? Are you focused on what you don't want to have happen or what you do want to have happen? The next thing is she talks about pivoting, which is when we I know I'm upset, so what can I do? I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to put on some lotion, I'm going to go for a walk, right? So we pivot that so that we change ourselves, right? Before we lash out to somebody else. And then the third thing is just to remind ourselves a few times throughout the day, am I focusing on the outcome? Am I focusing on what I want more of, right? And as we do that with children, as we do that with the adults in our life, we're going to be better able to handle what comes. The dishes not being done, right? Being able to say, Jessica, your job was dishes today. You need to get those finished, right? Give it positive, give it specific, and be assertive as we do it. Jessica, I think your job was to maybe do the dishes today. No way. She knows that, right? And so just be specific with what she was doing. And kids need specificity, and kids need us to be assertive, not wishy-washy, right? Because they have a hard time understanding. As we grow into adults, we still have a hard time thinking, what did she really mean when she said that, right? With children, they need us to be specific and assertive so that there's no misunderstandings, right? Because misunderstandings lead to that misbehavior. So anyway, let's head on out there this week and practice the power of attention, which is what we focus on, we get more of. Good luck, everybody. Share it with somebody and keep coming back. There's always little things that we can focus on to be better parents, to be better humans. Make it a great day.